Spanish is actually the official language of 21 countries.
Oh, nice.
So we are looking at a very big number.
Correct.
It is spoken by more than 500 million people. It is the second most important language in the world because of the reach that it has. Spanish LCA program is our pathway program, which allows students to access bachelor's and master's degrees at very affordable tuition fee. We are talking about bachelor's for an average of 900 euros per year and masters for an average of 1000 euros per year, which means that if a student passes all their classes in the first year, just passing all their classes, they pay zero tuition fee in the next year. Also, our visa allows for a student to work 30 hours per week, which is more than part-time in some other countries.
Yes, definitely.
30 hours per week, and in the academic breaks, say in the summer, they can
Sure.
work up to 40 hours a week.
Full time.
Yes. For example, in medicine, students are allowed to have patient interaction in the very first year. From what we've seen over our decade of experience is that when students look for part-time jobs, they generally do in the field of tourism and hospitality. Now, it is fairly easy to find a job in this field because we need to understand that Spanish economy is heavily driven by tourism. So the major difference between a public university and a private university would of course be the fees. Bachelor's in public would start at 750 euros per year. As for private universities, that would start at 5,000 euros per year.
Okay.
So we are seeing that huge difference there.
Today we have a guest, Simran, who is an international officer at Campus Spain. She works closely with students around the world, especially from India, helping them to understand Spanish education system and also choosing the right courses and successfully navigate their admission process. In this episode, we are going to talk about why to study in Spain. And nowadays, Spain is also becoming one hot destination for students who are traveling for their bachelor's and master's. And also now we are going to talk about in detail on Spanish LCA pathway programs. For the parents and students who are listening to this podcast, will be able to understand what will their career be after their bachelor's or master's, and tuition fees, living expenses, and cutoff marks after doing the LCA exams for your competitive exams like competitive courses like medicine or engineering. Simran, thank you for joining us today. Could you start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role at Campus Spain?
I moved to Spain 7 years ago. And when I moved, I realized that Spanish has great influence all over the world, not just in Spain.
Correct.
And I was looking to have an upper hand when I got out of my bachelor's degrees, and that is how I decided to learn Spanish. And to be honest with you, it has opened various doors for me and has set me up for success. That has been my journey. I have also been an international student in Spain. I did my master's, and I understand the struggles that a student goes through, the uncertainty, the doubts that you have at the beginning, and all you want and need is for somebody to address your questions.
Correct.
So that is how I started, and now I focus especially on Indian students. I do have that cultural bond with my fellow Indians. So that is how I ended up at Campus Spain.
What attracted you in Campus Spain?
My experience with Campus Spain has been amazing. Now, I would have liked to find them at an earlier moment because I would have benefited enormously from their help. Now, why do I say that? When I moved to Spain, I had no idea about how to apply for a visa. How am I supposed to go to university? I was still struggling with Spanish at the time since I hadn't found real guidance. And that is how, when I got to know about Campus Spain, they brought all of these aspects together. As soon as you apply for our program and are once admitted, there is no looking back because Campus Spain is that one entity that handles everything for you. Starting from your language proficiency, for you to feel a part of the Spanish culture, because it is a different place that we're going to be at as an international student like me or other fellow students as well. So they take away that initial cultural shock that I might feel. We also have a great team that supports a student emotionally, academically. And I think that is very important, and this is why I was led to Campus Spain store.
So, can you share which all countries in the world they speak Spanish?
So there are Spanish is actually the official language of 21 countries.
Oh, nice.
So we are looking at a very big number.
Correct.
It is spoken by more than 500 million people. It is the second most important language in the world because of the reach that it has. So it's not just Spain that we look at when we think about Spanish. We look at Latin American countries as well. We are also seeing that Spanish is going to end up becoming one of the most spoken languages at in the United States of America. So its reach has no limits.
So students can use Spanish to reach US.
Exactly, yes, because we know that currently US visas have been so difficult for students. It's been next to impossible here in India. So our program could also act as a catalyst and catapult students to if their final destination is the US.
Oh, that is also an advantage.
Because it is easier for you to apply for a US visa having already been in Spain and working or studying in Spain than it is for you to apply for it from India.
Why should a student choose Spain for higher education instead of only countries like US, UK, or traditional Indian option?
So the first would be that Spain as a country is very welcoming towards international communities, be it a different linguistic background, a different cultural background, a different religious background. So I think that adds to the peace of mind of a student. Also, public universities, on top of all, are heavily subsidized by the government. We are talking about bachelor's degrees that would start at around 750 euros per year.
Wow.
Which is
Way lesser
relatively cheaper than some universities in India itself.
Not some, it's almost like 70% of the universities charges or a college's charges around minimum averagely 2000 euros. It is like 1/3 of what they're paying.
So medicine programs that start at 750 euros.
Oh my god.
We also have some amazing universities, especially say in the region of Andalusia in the south, that are very scholarship friendly. Which means that if a student passes all their classes in the first year, just passing all their classes, they pay zero tuition fee in the next year.
Oh, okay.
So these universities set them up for success. And when a student graduates from a Spanish university, be it for their bachelor's or their master's, they don't just leave with the expertise that they've gathered throughout their program, but also that added advantage of knowing Spanish that sets them apart from other peers that they might have.
For which courses Spain is especially good or well known?
Great question. So Spain is known for medicine because Spain has been a pioneer when it comes to the healthcare field. It's not just the service that is provided that is one of the best. However, students who aspire to study medicine or any healthcare related fields, they come up to be one of the most world-renowned professions that we do know of as well. Apart from medicine, engineering programs as well, aerospace engineering is picking up a lot of traction. Spain is also the hub of sports.
Yeah, obviously.
So sports management. We have amazing business programs, sorry. When you look at the panoramic of brands that Spain has, be it Zara, be it Mango, be it Seat, be it Balenciaga, Loewe, we have the football team. So Real Madrid, Barca, we have all of these brands. So business is also a great option for students.
Are Spanish people generally happy to welcome international students?
Yes, I can speak from my experience that I have been immensely helped by my Spanish peers, from something as small as them helping me get my 40 kgs worth of luggage up to a train
Yeah.
to understanding every time that I was a fairly new student at Spanish, and they would help me. I would never feel patronized, or their attitude has never been condescending towards me. I've also seen that Spanish people in general are very open to learning about other cultures, and there is always that curiosity that we see. And all in all, I think it's a very welcoming country.
Oh, nice. So, how is the Spanish education system is different from other European countries?
So, Spanish education system believes a lot in practical training. There is also a great belief of maintaining a balance between a student's academic life as well as their personal.
Okay.
So, there is great importance in the students' downtime, them having time to socialize with their peers. Now, coming to the academic side, like I said, it is very practical based learning. For example, in medicine, students are allowed to have patient interaction in the very first year.
Oh, okay.
So it's not very theory based. Of course, theory at the end of the day is important, be it for any course. But there's a great balance between practical learning and theoretical.
Is Spanish language difficult to learn?
No, I can say that especially for students who already know English, or even if they know any Indian language, it is fairly easy. I come from a background of English and Hindi. So Spanish for me was writing as if I were writing English, reading as if I was reading English, but the grammatical structures were very similar to Hindi. And from what I've heard in my own circle with friends who come from all kinds of different linguistic backgrounds in India, they've had an easy time too. Spanish is actually considered the easiest language to learn in the world.
By learning the Spanish language, how a student, an international student, will be a kind of a unique product kind of a thing, or what USP that student will gain by learning Spanish?
I think especially for Indians, let's take two separate scenarios. Let's take an Indian student who is looking for a job in Spain. And let's take another scenario of an Indian student who wants to come back home or move to another place and is then looking for a job. Considering the first scenario, when I was hired at Campus Spain, it wasn't just the fact that I was an Indian who knew Spanish. They knew that I came with the expertise, the cultural expertise of being a native Indian. The same way, I think there is a lot that can be added by someone who's not native to the Spanish language and still has a lot of scope. Because that upper hand of knowing, because in Spain, you would know Spanish, which is the norm, but you probably also know another language that is not the norm there. So that sets you apart.
Correct.
But you also cover your bases when you know Spanish. On the other hand, if we look at an Indian student who has come back to India or has moved to another country where Spanish is not the norm, they have that upper hand again.
Okay. For example, if any student travels to Spain and he got the admission, he or she got the admission. So, by joining the English language course, can they learn Spanish gradually? Will that help the student?
There is a huge difference between cultural Spanish and academic Spanish.
Okay.
That is why when we talk about LCA, our language, culture and adaptation program, it's not language and culture grouped together. So for a student who learns only cultural Spanish, there will be struggles at time of academic Spanish that they might need in the future. Because keep in mind, there are very limited courses, if any, that are fully taught in English, especially in the public university system. There could be some very limited programs that are English friendly, but that does not mean that they are English taught.
What exactly is Spanish LCA program?
A great question. Spanish LCA is our pathway program. Like I mentioned earlier, it is the perfect bridge between international students and studies in Spain. It's made up of 3 pillars, as the name suggests: LCA, language, culture, adaptation. Language is where students would be at an intensive Spanish language program at either one of our two campuses. Both our campuses are at public universities in Spain. In this component, they would get up to a B1 plus or a B2 in Spanish. C stands for culture. So they're acquiring all this academic knowledge as well. We want them to feel a part of the Spanish society too, because at the end of the day, that is where they're going to be. We're talking about cultural activities every month, museum visits, Spanish cooking classes. Our students recently went to a football match as well. So anything and everything for an international student coming from a different background to feel a part of the Spanish culture too. Then A stands for adaptation to university. This is the academic side of Spanish LCA. During the program, the students would be in constant contact with our academic advisors, going over the university options, the programs that they would like to apply to, any backup plans that they might need or want. And once they've chosen, our advisors would then apply to these university programs on the students' behalf. Another thing that I would like to mention, because we follow a rigorous application process, if and when a student is offered a spot at Spanish LCA, it is our guarantee that they will get a spot at a public university. Now, I say public universities because they are more competitive to get into.
Correct. And can a student study basic Spanish here and then can they join LCA program?
So we would need first, if they have any official certificates or say they've done A1 or they've done A2, we would conduct a level test for them. Once that level test has been conducted and our university professors tell us that, okay, we've determined that this student has A1 or A2, they would join later on. So they would join later and there would be a discount on their fee as well.
Okay. And can they save the time also?
Yes. So instead of, say, joining in September for our September intake, they would join in December.
Okay. So they will save the cost of living,
Yes.
the tuition fees. So can you tell me what is Campus Spain as an organization?
So we are a government-funded organization. We provide access to all universities in Spain, be it public, be it private. Spain has a network of 90 universities and we provide admission to all of them.
Okay.
We are the official collaborators of a portal called UNED, which is through which all university applications need to pass through. And we are one of the very few collaborators that UNED has.
Is there anyone similar to Campus Spain in Spain?
No, nobody has the same model that we do.
Okay.
Because what you might see out there, that might even be for a cheaper fee, it's still not the same. Now, why do I say that? We are not a private academy. We are not a private language academy. We are based at university level. That is why we are allowed to offer some things to the student that a private academy wouldn't. For example, if a student is 17 at the when they graduate from their high school, we are allowed to admit them.
Okay, that's an advantage.
Which a private university private language academy couldn't.
Okay.
Second, if the student has any dependents, our visa, the visa that is awarded to the student, allows for them to bring on any dependents that they might have.
Oh, okay. So they can bring their parents.
Yes.
And they can, for settling for a period of like 6 to 8 months.
Yes. Also, our visa allows for a student to work 30 hours per week, which is more than part-time in some other countries.
Yes, definitely.
30 hours per week, and in the academic breaks, say in the summer, they can
Full.
work up to 40 hours a week.
Full time.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So what makes Campus Spain special compared to different organizations in different countries?
So what sets us apart is the whole service and the whole experience of being at Spanish LCA. It's not just a program that is included in the tuition fee. So there are various services that are also included, which is why I said earlier, from the moment you apply till the moment you go on to university, everything is taken care of by us. For example, we would take care of the admission process.
Correct.
We would also, once the student is admitted, we will also take care of their visa application documentation.
Correct.
Most of the documentation would be prepared by us, including an invitation letter, like you said, if their parents want to travel in the first few days or a week to help them settle in, we would do that as well, provide
nice.
an invitation letter for them. Once that's done, we will also take care of the homologation process. So any academic documents from, say, CBSE, IGCSE, IB, to be valid under the Spanish education
Correct.
system.
True.
Which is a tedious and a time-consuming process, especially for a new student.
Absolutely.
We would also take care of the students' airport pickup. They would have a 24/7 emergency contact. Anything happens, come what may, we will help them out. There is a private medical insurance already included.
Correct.
We will also process their student residence permit. The processing fee, the fee for the physical card, both are included. And so on and so forth. So you do understand
so
that.
the lengthy of services is part of it.
Exactly. We want, when a student comes to us, that they do not have to constantly think about, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? We want them to focus on their academics, focus on learning the language with us, partaking in cultural activities, and that's about it. We will take care of everything else. That is what sets us apart.
Why is Campus Spain is focusing so much on international students and especially from India?
History has been a witness to the potential of Indian students, the quality of education that they have, the potential that they have. They perform excellently in foreign countries too. So I think we want that richness to come to us as well, especially considering the population decline in Europe. I think it is also a very good opportunity for Indian students to explore a new place and kind of fill it with their virtue, with their intelligence too.
That's great. So, what are the type of courses are available at Campus Spain?
The only program that we provide is called Spanish LCA.
Okay, only one.
Yes. However, progression to university after our pathway course is to any and every course that you can think of.
How many students you take for each intake?
We take around 200 per campus.
Per campus, okay. What is the ratio of international students out of this 200?
All of them are international students.
So no locals will join this
No,
program? Okay.
because we need to consider that they are already locals there.
Okay.
So they've gone through the L and the C and the A during their life there.
Okay. So can you briefly explain what is this Spanish LCA program? The duration, the levels, the exams kind of a thing.
Okay. So Spanish LCA program is our pathway program, which allows students to access bachelor's and master's degrees at very affordable tuition fee. We are talking about bachelor's for an average of 900 euros per year and master's for an average of 1,000 euros per year. We have two intakes during the year. One is in September and the other one is in January every year. September intake has a duration of 10 months, the classes being from Monday to Thursday, and students would get up to a B2 level. As for our January intake, the duration is of 7 months, with classes being from Monday to Friday, so it's a little more intensive, and it would end in July too. We have two campuses, one in the city of Vigo in the northwest of Spain, and the other one in Madrid.
Which campus is good?
I would say it depends on the student's preference. I will tell you about both, and how about you tell me which one would you prefer? Our Vigo campus is, well, the city of Vigo is the biggest city in the state of Galicia. It is a coastal city right above the Portuguese border. It has all the benefits of a big city, even though it's a medium-sized city. great student life. It is very well connected. It has an airport, a train station, a bus station for students to move around the country. It has the beach, the mountains. So if
Yeah.
we have any nature lovers out there, I think it's
Yeah.
the perfect place for them. The recommended budget for the city of Vigo in terms of accommodation, transportation, and food would be of 600 euros per month, which is very affordable for an international education destination. As for Madrid, students would be at I Unit, which is an affiliated campus of Rey Juan Carlos in the center. The recommended budget for Madrid is of 1,200 euros. Still, being the capital, it is fairly affordable, taking into account the accommodation, the transportation, and the meals.
How difficult is the exam that students to take after completing the LCA program?
So, the exam that you're speaking about is called CLA, which is to see a student's proficiency in the Spanish language. Now, while a student is at LCA, they would be crossing 4 levels if they get up to that B2 in the September intake, for example. So, at every level that they cross, as soon as they cross A1, there would be that typical checkpoint. So, we would evaluate them and see the knowledge that they've acquired during this time. Same goes for all those levels. So, till the point that they get to B2, they are so familiar with the language. They speak it freely. They study it freely as well. So, I would say the exam is not difficult as we think it is. It is also very knowledge based, it takes into account not just academic but also cultural Spanish as well. That is why L and C are combined together to give that result.
What are the exams that students need to write after completing LCA program to get an admission to engineering or medicine?
Since medicine and engineering, some engineering specialties are very competitive fields, students might need to write an exam called PCE. Now, this is not for all programs that are offered at university. To give you an example, when we homologate, say, the CBSE curriculum under the Spanish education system, it would give us a maximum grade point of 10, between 5 and 10. Now, when we look at medicine and engineering programs, they are highly competitive, be it in India, be it in Spain, be it anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So the cutoff mark for these programs are are more than 10 and under 14. To bridge that gap between the student's GPA after homologation and the cutoff, they would have to take exams called PCE.
For engineering.
For some engineering programs, for example, aerospace engineering would need. For medicine, always. For any healthcare related fields as well. These are basic high school level exams. They are in Spanish, but if the student prefers, it could also be chosen in English. So they could choose to appear in English if they choose. If they would like, subjects for medicine subjects would be biology, chemistry, physics, or math, and sometimes English, looking at the case that we have at hand, and if we need the GPA to be boosted a little more.
For a student who choose engineering, what are the scores that they need to score out of that 14 marks?
I would say should be above a 10.
Okay.
Above a 10. So we're looking at a range of 12, 13.
What
I
about
think
for
that
medicine?
would be a safe bet.
What
For
about
medicine, the same.
Same.
Medicine is highly competitive.
When a student scores 12 out of 14, which are the universities that student can get the admission to study medicine or engineering?
In this case, we would highly recommend the University of Santiago de Compostela. It is a very well ranked university within Spain. That would be a very good option. Also, the University of Extremadura would be a very good option for the student. Islas Baleares could be a good option as well. And University of Salamanca and University of Burgos.
Okay. So till now we only discussed about medicine and engineering. Which are the other courses that international students can look out for in Spain?
Business management is very popular
Mhm.
and it is very well sought as well. We can also see a rising tendency in sports management since Spain is at the center of sports, in data science, computer science as well. In fact, there is this university in the region of Andalusia called University of Granada. They have the computer science engineering program, which is considered one of the best in all of Europe.
Oh, nice, super. Okay, so what are the cutoff? Is there any cutoff marks to get these courses?
It would depend on the final result after homologation of the student's academic documents. That would be the first step. Depending, because the cutoff mark changes every year.
Okay.
We can see a general tendency, but as demanding or as coveted as a program becomes, the higher the cutoff is.
For example, if student didn't get 12 or 13 or 10, if student has got at 9, still there is a chance to get any admissions to engineering or medicine?
Yes. Say for medicine, if they don't make it to public universities and they are not interested in private universities, what we could do is enroll them in pre-medical programs.
Okay.
So we have three that are very sought after in Spain, that are laboratory. We also have anatomy and
Mhm.
diagnostic and imaging.
Okay.
So with these programs, since they are pre-medical and they prepare the student for the job world, as soon as they finish, if they want to take a break to work, they can as well, because the program allows for it.
Okay.
If not, it is also a very good way to put their foot in to do medicine later on.
So they'll go for one more additional course.
Yes.
If a student pursues LCA program and they are eligible to write the exams, so what are the steps in the whole of 10 months program? What are the steps they need to follow or they will go through till they receive an admission to a university to study medicine?
Once they get to Spain, say they come in the September intake, the intake would last till July. During that time, they would be in constant contact with our academic advisors. We have seminar sessions, we have private counseling sessions as well, where we would be looking case per case, the students' preferences, the programs that they are eligible for, any backup plans that they might need or want. And since admission processes in Spain are on a rolling basis, we would start, say, around March, because there is an early intake for Andalusia around March. Later, we have other universities as well. They follow through.
What is a typical tuition fees for a student who gets admission to medical universities, in public medical universities?
An average student would pay around 900 euros to 1,000 euros per year towards a medicine program.
Mm-hmm.
The same would go for engineering.
So there is no much of a difference.
Not much of a difference, because the way universities work in Spain is that programs are clubbed together. So anything related to STEM or healthcare would be sharing kind of the same fee structure.
Okay. So just now you mentioned about the tuition fees for engineering and medicine. Will it be the same for business or sports or management courses, or is there any difference in the tuition fees?
In most universities, the tuition fee is the same. But I am also talking about universities whose tuition fee would start at 750 euros per year. So that is the minimum that you can pay. In some cases, depending upon the university that the student is looking into, the tuition fee might vary, because, of course, the material and the resources required for a medicine and engineering degree are different than what you would require for a business or a sports management program.
So while studying medicine, can a student allowed to work part-time?
Yes, they're allowed. If they want to, they're allowed to work.
Okay. So what is the duration of classroom teaching, or in a day, How many hours the student need to visit a university
We are looking at an average of 4 to 6 hours of class
every day?
every day.
Okay, that's kind of a decent.
Yes.
So, in comparison to India, so which one you suggest for a student to choose to study in India to go to Spain?
To answer your question, I would say Spain. Now, I say that because as an Indian native, all of us have been familiar with the healthcare system in our country. Even though a student might not have yet studied medicine in India, we are well familiar with the way the healthcare system works here. So now imagine that same student moves on to study their bachelor's degree in medicine in Spain. That is another country's, in a very contrasting way, that too, since healthcare is public and universal in Spain. So getting to experience that other side of medicine too. And while they are in at the Spanish university, they also get to participate in Erasmus Mundus. So we're talking about an exchange program where they could do 6 months or a year in another country. And it does not always have to be EU, because there are some university in the US as well that are part of Erasmus Mundus.
Correct.
So they already come from the background of knowing how healthcare works in India. Now they've acquired all this knowledge in Spain. Now say they do a semester or a year abroad in another country, be it EU, be it the US. So they get the expertise from all three different places. Another great part is that since Spanish universities are so heavily subsidized, when they are on Erasmus Mundus, they continue to pay the subsidized tuition fee.
Correct. And also
Even
they
in
get stipend.
Even in the cases of going to one of the EU countries where tuition fee might be higher, or a university in US,
Still they pay at the same fees.
and they get a stipend as well.
Okay. So can you explain what is this Erasmus?
So Erasmus Mundus is an exchange program where students enlisted in a bachelor's program or a master's program get to spend 6 months or a year in another institution. Now, Erasmus Mundus has a network of more than 2,000 institutions that participate.
Okay.
All around the EU, there are other countries as well that participate. Like I said, in some cases Turkey, in other cases the US as well, depending upon the program. During this time, a student enrolled under a Spanish university would continue to pay the subsidized tuition fee of Spain. Because in most cases, when they go for Erasmus Mundus, they are going to universities that are much more expensive.
True. When they go to US or private
Yes.
universities or anything. But when they go on an Erasmus process, will they study in Spanish or will they study in English?
They will study in English, and sometimes they also have. So they study in English, but they also get to learn language as it is a part of the Erasmus curriculum as well.
Okay.
So if they go to Italy, they are studying in English, but they are also learning Italian at the same time. And there might be a point that these two would converge.
Okay. So are students get any scholarships?
For Spanish LCA, there is no scholarship because it is that initial investment that allows for a student to pay 900 euros on average for bachelor's or 1,000 for master's. What a student can do if they're looking into scholarships is, once they pass through Spanish LCA and are enrolled in a university for their bachelor's or their master's, they can directly ask the university for scholarships.
Okay. So they don't need to approach any other government
No.
websites. Only the university
Yes.
provides the scholarships. Okay. Okay. So is there any guarantee for scholarships or no?
No.
Okay. Only thing is that if they perform well, so
Yes.
the second year fees can be waived off.
Yes. For example, that as well.
So how different is studying in public universities in Spain to a private universities in Spain?
So the major difference between a public university and a private university would of course be the fees. Bachelors in public would cost or would start at 750 euros per year. As for private universities, that would start at 5,000 euros per year.
Okay.
So we are seeing that huge difference there.
Absolutely.
Apart from that, public universities have a long-standing infrastructure. It has withstanded a lot as compared to private universities, which are fairly new and are still finding their footing. Also, I do understand that in some cases, private universities, the application process, the admissions process is swifter and they have a better turn time for bureaucratic processes. However, with Spanish LCA, students would be covered for that because we would be handling
Correct.
the procedures, the homologation, the applications, and everything.
Till now, we discussed about style of, okay, student clears the exam. What if student fail in the exam? What are their options?
We really haven't had any cases of students failing Spanish LCA because when we sign a student agreement, there are just two conditions that we have to be able to guarantee a student admission to a public university. First is that they show up to classes, that they put in the work that they have to, and second, to bring us their academic documents when we ask for them.
Okay.
So that is the minimum that we need. Like I also mentioned earlier, whenever a student crosses a level in the Spanish language, so A1, A2, B1, B2, there is a checkpoint. So if we see that A1 has been good, A2 has been good too, but we can see the student struggling a little bit in B1. So instead of waiting till the last exam, that is where we would try to reinforce. So if they need any extra lessons, if they need any extra time, we would take that into consideration.
But still, I'll ask this question again. So if student fails to clear, can they reattempt the LCA program again?
If a student fails Spanish LCA, they would have the opportunity to take the exam later on again.
Okay, so they don't need to pay the
No.
fees, so they can
Because
repeat the
it's the
exams.
CLA exam.
Okay.
For which they would have to pay the fee directly.
Okay. How does Campus Pain support students emotionally and academically in such situations so that they should not feel like they have failed and can still move forward confidently?
In such situations, Campus Pain supports students on three fronts. First would be that we have a student relationship manager who is also a 24/7 emergency contact. So she comes into that play of having built a very close relationship with the student and being there for them when they need them. On the other front, we would also take care of the application process and get to work instantly on other options that we can find for the student. Any backup plans, recommendations that we have. That is why we do the thorough work that we do since the beginning.
Okay.
And the third would be academically. So any way that we can support, we would speak to the university campus, so be it Vigo or Madrid, if any extra classes could be arranged, if there's any way that we could support the student. So we try to cover them on all these three fronts.
So what is the tuition fees for this 1 year program that they do at Campus Pain?
The tuition fee for Spanish LCA is 7,900 euros. It includes, of course, the program as well as services, end-to-end services like the application process, the visa documentation prep, the private medical insurance, the airport pickup, the SIM card, the transportation card, the tours, the student residence permit processing, the university applications, homologation. So everything is included end to end.
So do you provide any scholarships if there is a meritorious student who applies?
No, we do not provide scholarships.
Okay. Simran, can you tell me what kind of part-time jobs can student work while they're studying?
From what we've seen over our decade of experience is that when students look for part-time jobs, they generally do in the field of tourism and hospitality. Now, it is fairly easy to find a job in this field because we need to understand that Spanish economy is heavily driven by tourism.
Absolutely.
So there is also always a need for more professionals who can work in this in hospitality and in tourism. Another frequent question that we also receive when we speak to students is that, and what if I don't speak Spanish?
Correct.
So that is where this tourism driven economy comes into play, because the tourism that is being received by Spain is from countries all over the world,
True.
including countries that use English as a base language for communication.
Correct.
Spain receives a huge influx of tourists from the UK, from the US, from Canada, from other parts of Europe where a common language is not shared.
Correct.
And this vehicle of communication is where English comes into play. This is why, since tourism is so heavily seen in Spain, as well as the statistics that we see of the tourists that the country received, it is fairly easy to get a job having basic skills in Spanish or starting from scratch.
What is the average salary per hour student can get?
An average salary, so the minimum wage in Spain is of 12 euros and 50 cents.
Okay.
This is the same if a student works 30 hours per week or 40 hours per week.
So if they work 30 hours per week, so they get very good decent pay.
Yes, it is more than
euros.
Yes.
So they can save, and I think they can pay your tuition fees.
Yes, absolutely. We do get students who take up a job during this time and they pay towards their living expenses, they pay towards their accommodation, and then get to save some as well.
After completion of, they complete LCA, they'll get a admission to medicine or engineering or other courses. Once they complete the graduation, how is the job prospects in Spain?
Once they complete their bachelor's or their master's, students are entitled to a job search visa of 24 months. The initial permit that is given is of 12 months, but it could be extended up to 24. It is fairly easy to find a job in their own specific field. Of course, we need to keep in mind that they know Spanish by that time now.
Correct, absolutely.
So it is easier for them to fit in and be a part of the job world.
Generally, what are the salaries for a person who completes medicine in Spain? What are the salaries that they can expect?
If we are looking at the public field, we are looking at salaries of more than 2,000 euros per month, which is very good according to Spanish standards.
Yeah.
And it is more than enough to live a comfortable life. But it would always depend on the region. And it would always depend on where you are at that point of your life.
So what about the similar kind of question permits for me to ask is, after engineering, what are the minimum salaries that they can expect?
We are looking at similar figures too.
Okay.
However, depending on the specialty, as it is for medicine, it is also for engineering, it would vary because there is no ceiling.
Okay.
For the highest that you can get. There is for the lowest, because that is why we have a minimum wage in place. But there is no ceiling for the highest.
Is there any condition for a student should get a salary to convert their study visa to work permit?
What they would need is a contract of 40 hours.
Okay.
And a fixed salary.
Okay. So there is no minimum. It's a fixed salary and
yes, it should be, because the way that the system is set up, if you have 40 hours, you're already fulfilling the other.
Okay. Can a dependent travel along with the student?
Yes. Since our program is based at university level, It allows for a student to bring on any dependents that they might have. We would help with we would assist the student with their visa. And as for the dependent, we could put them in contact if they choose to with immigration lawyers that we have used in the past. And they would have to handle the dependents' visa application independently.
So,
But yes, our program does allow.
okay. What is the minimum funds that they need to show to apply for visa?
The minimum that we are seeing right now, according to the embassy guidelines, is of 14,000 euros. So that would oscillate between 14 to 15 lakhs in INR.
So, what is the duration that will take from the date of applying for the visa till they receive the visa?
Right now we are seeing turnover times about between 2 weeks and 2 months, and that is why we have a deadline as well in place, because we don't want for a student to go through that stressful time. Am I going to get my visa in time? Am I not? This is why we also share a very close relationship with both the consulates in India. And we have established this relationship over a period of time. So we follow their guidelines directly. And that is why we also advise the student in such a way.
The whole visa process is difficult or mediocre or easy to apply for Spain as a student visa?
As compared to other countries, Spanish visa is fairly affordable and easy to apply. It is not as demanding as others might be. For example, when I talk about affordability, the visa application fee is of 100 euros.
Correct.
Which is 10,000 rupees. We have seen countries that are charging 1.5 lakhs.
Yeah, UK is the most expensive.
For a visa application.
Correct.
When it comes to the documentation that we need, it is also very basic. Of course, the majority is already being prepared by us, following the guidelines that have been provided by the embassies. Now, as on the part of the student, we would need the following documents. One would be a police clearance certificate, which now it is fairly easy to get. So it's just at the passport office. We would also need a medical certificate, for which we would provide the template. We would need 6 months worth of original bank documents and 3 years of ITR.
Okay.
So as compared to other countries that have a very competitive visa application process, Spain is relatively easy.
Is there an age limit to apply for education at Campus Spain?
So there is no age limit that has been put by us. We admit all ages of students. However, we have seen in the tendency of positive visa outcomes and negative visa outcomes at the embassy in India, that above 27 years of age, also having more than 2 years of gap year, rarely leads to a successful outcome for the visa.
Okay.
And of course, we do not want the student to invest their time, their money, their effort, not just theirs, but also their families, knowing that these results would probably be negative and there would not be a positive outcome of the visa process.
What one advice you say to parents in India?
My advice to all parents would be, there is a whole world out there that is waiting to embrace your child and to welcome them. Spain is one of those countries. I understand their concern. I understand their affection towards the child. I absolutely can put myself in their shoes. At the same time, I think they will be setting up their child for success, and they will have that peace of mind as well. Spain is extremely safe. It is in the topmost safest countries in all of Europe. They would have a 24/7 emergency contact. They have a private medical insurance if anything happens to them. And we as a team will always be available for the parents.
Have you noticed any kind of mistakes students are doing upon arrival to Spain?
Yes. So what I see is that they don't I do understand that it's difficult to open up to different people. When you're new, you're probably missing home. I do get that. But I think the one mistake that students might be making is not kind of resting on their peers. I say that because they are all in the same boat.
Correct.
So finding comfort in your peers, and it will be difficult at first getting out of your comfort zone. But that is exactly what is going to make you successful later on.
So when student travels to any foreign country, so they always ask a question that is it Indian groceries are available in Spain or is it any country? So what is your answer for that?
Yes, there are Indian grocery stores available. I promise I've toured all of them. Um, Spain has a very big community of Indians.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an example, I recently found out that there is actually a Gurdwara in Malaga. I never knew that. I found that out recently. There are amazing Indian restaurants in all of Spain.
Okay, nice.
And you will have access to good food and groceries as well. There are companies or grocery stores that might be based in a different city than you,
Mm-hmm.
but they ship it to you the next day.
So what would you advise a student in a 12th grade or a degree completed who are in a crossroads to decide should I continue my career or education in India or abroad?
I think abroad would be a better option. I say that because um, we know the education system in India and we are familiar with it. So I think moving to another place to experience another education system and trying to make it in another country, and then if they prefer, they can bring back the expertise that they've acquired once they finish in Spain. But I think the opportunities that are offered will only enrich in them, not just in personal life, but also in academic and professional.
What is your answer for a parent or a student who always thinks on return on investment for their
I
education?
I do understand the concern there because it's not just money, it is also time and effort that has gone into education here. What I will say that Spain has great ROI because the tuition fees are very low, so that it's a very small investment. The LCA program is just an initial investment that is not just for the student to have access to bachelor's or master's at affordable tuition fee, but also the exposure of being at one of the oldest EU member countries that we have. And they can also progress to other EU countries. There is also possibilities of excelling in Spain. The fields that we have spoken about in today's podcast, I think we've covered that Spain encompasses all of those fields.
Simran, thank you for sharing the insights about Spain, your experience of living in Spain, and for the students who are listening this episode, so you will be able to understand the program of LCA, then PCE exam, the cutoff marks, then admissions to your engineering or medicine or any other course, the average salaries that she has covered to give all the insights and everything. So that is one of the important points. So you need to understand while choosing a country, you need to do your basic research whether this country suits you or not. Then you need to choose the course, then the program, the whole process till the visas. So thank you very much for sharing each and everything.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for flying from Spain to join us here.
Of course, I'm here to help you and also any international students who are willing to come to Spain.
Thank you, Simran. It was pleasure having you here, and thank you for listening to this episode. See you in the next episode.